All right, so here we've talked about in the book about instantaneous velocities and velocities at different values. And what we need to do is we need to find the instantaneous velocity function v for this given function f of x. Well, what we need to do is, if we remember, v is going to be equal to f prime of x. So that means we just have to take the derivative of that to find the instantaneous velocity function v. So for a, v is equal to f prime of x is equal to, well, here, 3, bring it down, that's going to be a 3x squared. Bring down the 2, so it's going to be a minus 30x. And bring down the 1, so it's going to be plus 72. Okay. And so that would be our answer for the instantaneous velocity function v. What about b? Find the velocity at x equals 2 and x equals 5. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's find f prime of 2 and f prime of 5. So what do? We plug that value in. So it'd be 3 times 2 squared minus 30 times 2 plus 72. And that's going to be equal to what? Okay. Well, so that's going to be 4 times, that's going to be 12. And then that's going to be 60. And so it's going to be 60 minus that's going to be 12 plus 12. So that's going to be 24. 24. And that's going to be velocity function. So that's going to be feet per second. Okay. And if we wanted to, this would be in feet per second too, if we were asking what our units are in this case. Okay. What about this one? Well, that's going to be 3 times 5 squared minus 30 times 5 plus 72. So if we work that out, that's going to be 72. That's going to be 25. That's going to be 125 minus 150. That's going to be minus 25. So that should be, let me do my calculator here real quick to make sure I get this one right. Oops. Yeah, so that's 5 squared times 3 minus 60 plus 72. So, oh, no, I hit the wrong button there. Looks like minus 3 feet per second is going to be that one. Okay. All right, so now the last one is find the times when a velocity is 0. Well, that means we want to know when f prime of x is equal to 0. Well, when's that going to be equal to 0? When this is equal to 0. So we're going to look at 3x squared minus 30x plus 72. Oops, hit the wrong. Let's just erase that, make it pretty. Minus 30x plus 72 equals 0. So that means we have to factor that. So first things first, I see that I can factor out a 3. Okay, so that's going to make it a little bit easier. So that's going to be an x squared, and that's going to be minus 10x. Factor out 3, that's going to be a plus 24 equals 0. Now I can divide by 3 on both sides, and that just disappears. And so now I can factor this into x minus and x minus. 4 times 6, I think, will be my two choices there. Set each of those equal to 0, so x equals 4 and x equals 6 are the two times, and these are times, so that's seconds and that's seconds. So at 4 seconds and at 6 seconds, that's going to be a velocity of 0. Okay. And if you think about this, this is a parabola, and so it's going to have 2 points where it crosses the axis. It's going to be 2 places at 4 and 6 where it's crossing over. All right, so for the last example here, we need to find f prime of x for this. And then we find the equation of the tangent line at x equals 1. That's a little more complex that we haven't talked about. And then the last one, find the values of x where the tangent line is horizontal. Okay, well, where it's equal to 0 again. Okay, so first off, let's do A. So, oops, f prime of x is equal to what? Well, that's going to be 4x to the third. That's going to be minus 24 x squared, and then the 7 goes away. We don't have anything else to do there. So B. All right. So x is equal to 1. All right, so that one is going to be uh, the slope. Remember, that's going to give us slope. So slope is going to be equal to f prime of whatever x is. And in this case, let's call it x1 because this is going to be not the actual xx value, because if you remember, we're going to have to use the slope-intercept form or point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so this X they're talking about here is this one. So we can't call it X because then we'd put it here, which is wrong. And so we're going to call it X1. And so we need to find F prime of 1. Okay. Well, if we plug that in here, 1 cubed is 1 times 4. So that's going to be 4. And that's going to be 4 minus 20. So that's going to be what? Minus 20. All right. What else do we know? We know the y1 here. Y1 is going to be equal to f of x1. Well, x1 again is just that 1. So we're going to plug that back into the original. 1 to the fourth is 1. Let's write it down so we don't miss anything. Then minus 8 and then plus 7. Well, that's going to be 0. So we know slope and we know y1 and we know x1. So we can plug everything in here and we can say y minus 0 equals slope m, which is a minus 20 times x minus x1, which we said was 1. Well, that goes away, so we get y equals a minus 20x plus, looks like 20. Okay, so that's going to be the equation of the tangent line at x1 is equal to 1. So that is what we were looking for here. And again, we had to know that the slope is going to be the slope of the derivative at that point. And so that was that. And y1 is going to be basically whatever that's remember, this is just y here, the whole f of x. So if we want x1, we just plug in 1, 1, and then solve, and we get that. And then we can plug it into our point slope form and get our equation of the line here. All right, C. Well, find the values where the tangent line is horizontal. Remember, if we have, I don't know, we're just guessing here, a tangent line, that's going to be that line that goes like that. Well, horizontal means it's going to go through that point there, so it's going to have a slope of what? 0. So we want f prime of x equals 0, and so 4x cubed minus 24x squared equals 0. All right, so what can I do here? I can pull out 4x squared, it looks like. If I do that, I have x minus, and if that's going to be a sixth, and that's equal to 0. Set both of these terms equal to 0. So here, x is equal to 0, because if I take this, set equal to 0, that's going to be 0. Set that equal to 0, x is equal to 6. And so those are the two values of x where it's going to be equal to 0. Okay, and so I'm not sure what the shape of this curve is going to be. It's going to have multiple things like that. I'm not sure if it's up or down. I forget. And so you'll have two of them, one at 0 and one at 6. All right, so that's all I have for this section. Hopefully that helps.